Well, hello and welcome again to our reading of the Greek New Testament, and we're in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, and we're starting at verse 17. Me nomise te hotielthon catalusai ton nomon tus prophetas, uk elthon catalusai alla plerosai. We get may plus the subjunctive for a negation. So do not think that I came catalusai to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but plerosai, aorist infinitive from pleroo, it's an omicron contract verb, to fulfill it. Amen ga lego humin. Heos an parelthe hourinos kai hege, iota hen emia karaia ume parelthe apotu nomu, heos an panta genitai. Truly I say to you that until, heos an plus a subjunctive is used for until heaven and earth, pareltho, they pass away, they pass by, hence pass away. Ume plus the very strong negative plus the subjunctive, in no way will one iota, literally. Now iota of course is the Greek letter of the alphabet, but the idea here is this would correspond to the Hebrew letter Yod, which is just a little mark. It's the easiest letter to write in the Hebrew alphabet. It's a very quick little mark, so Yod, and so not one of those or one karaia. Now karaia literally means a horn. It refers to a slight rise in the writing of some letters. For example, the Hebrew letter Dalet has one of these little bumps at the top when you form the D, and this is, I think, is what they mean by the horn, the little bit that just sticks up, a karaia. Other translations used to say jot and tittle. So what he means here is that nothing, not even a yod, which is that little tiny letter, nor even a little mark, a little bump on some of the letters, will pass away from the law. Heos an, until panta, neuter plural singular verb, until all things take place. Subjunctive from ginomai. Hos ian un luce mian tone en tolone tuton tone elakistone kai didaxe hutos tus anthropos elakistos klethesatai ente basileia tone uranon. Hos dan poiese kai didaxe, hutos megos klethesatai ente basileia tu turn uranon. Now, hos with an, this is really an, often written as an. It's not the if, but it's just the an. So whoever, therefore, might literally loose. So whoever might, it's almost water down one of these the least of the commandments, and might teach men thus in this way. So often translated teach men to do so. So whosoever relaxes might be this one who relaxes even the least one of these commandments and teaches men likewise, teaches men thus. Klethesatai, he will be called, this is a future passive from Kallio, he will be called elakistos, least in the kingdom of heaven, and hos dan, instead of e'an here, whoever might do this and might teach it, that is the commandment, hutos, that man will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Legoga humin hoti ean me perisue humon he dikaiasune pleon ton grammation kai pharisaion ume es eltheties ten basileon ton uranon. For I say to you that ean may, unless, that's quite common idiom, ean plus may, unless your righteousness might abound, perisuo, more, and we get a comparative genitive here, more than that of the scribes and Pharisees, ume, in no way will you enter into the kingdom of heaven. Verse 21 here, accusate, you have heard that it was said, and this is a dative of the instrument here. Normally you'd get hupo, but here, or of a person, but here you're getting a dative. It's by the ancients. This erethe, this is the aorist passive from lego. We've seen that reithen, that neuter participle, being it having been said, it's from this same root, this wraith root from erethane is the aorist passive from lego. So you have heard that it was said by the ancients, ou phoneuses, you will not commit murder. Hostan phoneusse, whoever commits murder, enekos estai te chryse, he will be enekos, liable to judgment. This enekos, the ok root here is connected with echo, and here we generally translate this, he will be liable, he'll be in the power of judgment, so he'll be liable to judgment. Ego de lego humin hotipas hop orgizomenos to adelpho autu, but I say to you that everyone being angry with his brother, enekos estai te chryse, he will be liable to judgment. Hostan, whosoever might say to his brother, raka. Now, raka, the exact meaning of this word is uncertain. It's probably from some Aramaic root meaning to be a fool or empty-headed, generally just translated as fool, but the precise exact meaning is uncertain. So, whosoever might say to his brother, you fool, enekos estai to Sunedrio, he will be liable to the Sanhedrin. This is the Jewish council. Interestingly, this is a Greek word. It gets written as Sanhedrin, often in translation, but it is actually a Greek word taken over into Hebrew and taken over into Jewish culture. But obviously they didn't have one of these councils in earlier Jewish times, and so when this was formed, they've used a Greek word to describe it. Hos dan ape, and whosoever says more, this is a vocative. It's connected with that unpleasant word moron in English. So fool. So whoever says you moron, you fool, he will be liable to the Gehenna of fire. Now I think, remember, the Gehenna is the sort of rubbish tip outside of the walls of Jerusalem where they used to burn the rubbish. It was an unpleasant, hot, nasty place, lots of fires and things, and hence becomes a metaphor for hell. So he will be liable to the Gehenna of fire. Ean un prosperes tondoron su. Therefore, if you bring your gift, epitothusiasterion, to the altar. Now this is an interesting word because it's pre the Septuagint. This was a very rare word, and it becomes the standard word in the Septuagint for the Jewish altar. And indeed, in both the Septuagint and in the New Testament, they're very meticulous about the maintaining a distinction between the thusiasterion, the Jewish altar, and a bomos, or a pagan altar. You'll see in Acts when Paul is talking about the altar in Athens, he doesn't use this word, he uses bomos. So this is the Jewish altar. Kake is crasis for kai and eke. So whenever you bring your gift to the altar and there you remember that your brother, eke ti katasu, your brother has something against you. Aphes, imperative from aphiemi, leave there the gift, your gift, in front of the altar, and go. Proton is adverbial. So firstly, dia legathe is from dia lasso. This is the aorist passive imperative. So dia lasso is to reconcile. So this is be reconciled to your brother. Be reconciled to your brother. So this is the second person imperative. So you be reconciled to your brother, and then, having gone, offer your gift. Isti, imperative from the verb from Amy, you not own to antidiko su taku heos hotu e metautu ente hodu me potisek parado ho antidikos to krite kai hokritos to huperete kai espulaken blethese. So these go together really. It's be of good mind. So make friends with, be reconciled to. So make friends with your antidikos. Now this is a technical word for your opponent in court. So this is a court metaphor here. So this is your opponent who's dragged you before the court, and so it says make friends with your opponent quickly. Heos hotu, you've got to supply something like chronu, while you take these together for such a time as, so while you are with him, so in the time when you are with him on the road, so on the journey to the court, me poti se parado, lest your adversary hands you over to the judge, and the judge to the huperete. This is the first declension, huperetes. It's really just here an attendant. The word originally meant an under rower. So one who rows on the bottom rung of the ship. It was the worst possible job, and the word then comes to mean lackey. It has a rather unpleasant connotation sometimes in classical Greek, but by this stage it simply means the assistant, the one who's not in charge really. So the judge hands you over to the assistant, and you will be cast into prison. So this is a second person singular future passive from Ballo. You will be cast into prison. Amen lego soi, I tell you, ume, you will not get out. Eke then is eke plus that old ablative ending then. So from there, heos an, until apodos you give back to eschaton quadanten, the last quadrans. This is a Latin word taken over into Greek. The QU has become a K, so it's quadrans, Quadrans in Latin. It's the smallest possible Roman coin. It's like our cent. So until you pay back the last cent. In the Old English translations they said farthing or something. Right, verse 27, we get this the same expression again. You have heard that it was said, you will not commit adultery, but I say to you that pas hoplepon gunaika pros ta epithemesai auten ede emoikusan auten ente kadia autu. I say to you that everyone looking at a woman, now pros top plus the infinitive, with the intention of desiring her, so it's pros top, it's the articular infinitive here, so with the intention of desiring her, already has committed adultery with her, takes an accusative, in his heart. And if your right eye, scandalize, if it causes you to stumble, ex hele, Now the hele here is from Hyreo. If you're looking this up, it's from X Hyreo. The aorist of Hyreo is halon, and the stem of that root is hel, and this is a strong aorist imperative. So take it out. We would say pluck it out or something. So take out your eye and cast it from you. Another aorist imperative. Sum fere gar. Sum fere is impersonal, for it is expedient, so it is better, soi for you, that one of your members is lost, and so it's sort of rather than, for the kaime here, rather than your whole body be cast, this is aorist passive subjunctive, into Gehenna. So, and not your whole body be cast into Gehenna. So I might say rather than your whole body be cast into Gehenna. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, ek kopson, from ek kopto, cut it out. So cut, we would say chop it off really with your hand and cast it from you. For it is better for you that one of your members is lost, and not your whole body cast into, so rather than your whole body go into Gehenna. So a slight variation from Blethe to Apelthe here. Last little bit before we have a break here. Erethe de, and it was said, Hosan apoluse ten gunaika auto dotto auto apostasion. Whoever, now apoluo is a technical term here to divorce. So whoever divorces his wife, let him give to her an apostasion. So this quotation is from Deuteronomy 24:1, but it's not exactly the Septuagint version. The apostasion is a bill or certificate of divorce. The more usual expression is biblion apostasiou, as you see in Matthew 19:9. So whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a bill of divorce. It was relatively easy for men to divorce their wives, but of course not wives to divorce their husbands. But I say to you that pas ho apoluane tein gunaika autu, everyone who divorces his wife. Now we get this little extra phrase here, parektos logu porneas. This little escape clause, as it were, is not in Mark's version of this pericope, nor in Luke, and nor is it in 1 Corinthians 7, where similar issues are discussed. Parektos is a pseudo-preposition. It's quite rare in the New Testament. There's lots of these little pseudo-prepositions in later Greek. It means except by reason of, so except for, and with logu, except by reason of porneia. Not quite clear exactly what that means. A porneia is a prostitute, so it's not clear whether you can divorce your wife if she's been prostituting herself or whether it's got a more general meaning. So anyone who divorces his wife except for the reason of porneia makes her to be adulterous, makes her to have committed adultery. So it causes her to have committed adultery. And whosoever might marry, this is hos e'an for hos an again, a woman who is divorced commits adultery, and there's no sort of out clause here, so this always causes some grief in the modern world, where divorce is fairly common. So that's the I'll stop that little section there, and we'll finish off chapter 5 in the next recording.